Up, everyone? So I want to talk a little bit about the last networking video I sent out. I admit I was a bit upset. I was a bit aggressive. If you go back and you look at that, you'll be like, dude, what happened? And I'll tell you what happened. I was having a lot of silly conversations that day with people who just frustrated me because everybody wants to be a good networker, everybody wants to be a great actor, a great media artist, a great producer, great at their job, and they're just not getting the basics right. So I want to make this video about some really core fundamentals, specifically around networking, and establishing some of the things I've talked about in these videos in the past, like this being a long-term game, right? This is a unpredictable, non-linear, long-term game. So it's unpredictable. That might be written with an A. I'm going to put an I there. Spell check me. Long-term game. Now, what I'm talking about specifically is acting or directing or writing, okay? Creative media professions on the creative side, not the crew side. Directing is not the same, even though people want to think of it that way, as being a grip, being a catering service. To a degree, there are similarities, but a catering service can provide catering for a craft services, for any production. Like, it really doesn't matter as long as you have the ability to increase your volume for big productions. And an actor cannot be on any production. A director cannot direct any production. A writer cannot write any production. So it requires more thought as to where you belong and how, what specifically your value is and who you can offer it to get, more likely conversions or jobs. So the very simple tip I want to focus on today with this is kind of how to just think about creative jobs in the industry. This has nothing to do with what I normally do. Giving actors and media artists superpowers for building their own businesses, companies that support their endeavors through their own productions and really take a hold of creative and financial control. That's a different ball game here. I'm talking now only about the game of getting more acting roles specifically, more directing roles specifically, or gigs specifically, and writing for projects, etc. So I'm going to speak more the language of the actor, but realize and recognize that this, with slight variations to the verbiage, will apply to any creatively driven sort of element or position in this industry. So since it's unpredictable and long term, everybody wants more roles, more pay, more stability. And while this one is really impossible, because you constantly rely on other people and, the environment, the climate, it goes up and down, and, types and whatnots and, climates, they phase in and out. So stability, that's what we help you with in the Dracis program. And if you want to learn more about that, there's a link in the comments. It's all about empowering you to just build your own ecosystem up, Tyler Perry style. You know what I mean? Do it your own way. So that's definitely 100% something you should check out. But for now, let's stay focused on, more roles, more pay. And basically, how do you get more pay? Well, you build up credibility and tenure, or, a track record in a sense, and you keep building on it. So you keep pushing for better and better things. And let me backtrack, because I could ramble on for hours, and I don't have a script for this. Usually these videos are a little bit ad-libbed, so I apologize if I'm a bit all over the place. I want to bring you value, though. And by the way, don't forget to comment, subscribe. If you have ideas for something you want me to cover, like, I read the comments from time to time. Like, yeah, I'm busy, but when I do see them and there's a good idea there, like, I will make a video about it. So please, don't be shy, or hit me up, Daniel@DreamReachMedia. Just email me. Tell me what you need to know. I might make a video about it. I might not respond because it might be really busy, but if I do respond, I might be by making a video. So anyway, here's some basics, all right? You're an actor, all right? What do you want to do? You want to act, okay? You want to act. Now, how do you get to do that as much as possible? Well, you have to kind of reverse engineer it. Now, I'm not going to get into branding and knowing your place and knowing your types. If you want to learn more about that, again, get in touch with us. This is not, or explore my YouTube page. This is about, like, I'm assuming you have all the basic assets and stuff that you need, and you kind of know how to think about things in this industry. And now it's just about, like, getting more roles, getting booked more consistently, and starting to pave a path, right? The biggest tip I can give you is, I've said this in multiple videos before, it's not about who knows you, it's not about who you know, it's about who knows you and who's thinking about you when the need for you, your type, yourself, or whatever arises. And what's the context that they know you under, all right? So, let's say, here are the avenues that we have today. We have, for networking, for being visible, right? We have Facebook, we have Insta, we have TikTok, we have LinkedIn. These are social media platforms. We have YouTube for your own content. We have emails. We have Actors Access and all other casting sites where you can have a portfolio up. You have IMDb. Now I'm straying from social into where you can have stuff up, right? You might have your own website. So this might look overwhelming, but all of this adds up to potential visibility in a non-physical way. You also have actors' conventions. I'll just do AC, conventions, workshops, class, showcases. You have these physical endeavors, film festivals, markets, etc. Okay? There's a lot of places where people in this industry reside, visit, have recurring appearances, go to. Okay? Always remember that this is an industry, and finding good actors to work with, you know, is a good thing for casting directors and ambitious up and coming casting directors and assistants to casting directors, to producers, to directors and stuff. So, you know, you got to start thinking of yourself not as somebody who kind of needs a bunch of people to do them a favor, but as understanding that you are a good fit for somebody somewhere, somehow. Like, there is a ton of content being produced, and though it might be hard to create a consistent living with it, you can get fairly consistent work if you really brand yourself and you start getting known by the right people. And this is what's bringing me to the point. I'm sorry it's taken a long time to get to this point. This is what's bringing me to the point. I just listed a ton of places where there are gatherings or concentrations of the types of people that you might be able to benefit from, and who could benefit from you if you are a talented, well-branded, and solid actor and performer and you behave professionally. So you have maybe not profiles on all of these things, but you might have a Facebook account, and you might have an Instagram account, and you might be on LinkedIn. Okay, well, let's say you know that the casting director who does most of the casting for the Jerry Bruckheimer type or Dick Wolf type procedural TV shows like NCIS, Law and Order, all those things, right? Let's say you know who does casting for Law and Order, all of them. I don't know if it's the same casting director. Unfortunately, TV isn't my strongest space, but so I'm not familiar with the casting director specifically for the Law and Order franchise, and I don't know if it's the same person for most of them or not, or the same agency or whatever. But let's say you go in to IMDb Pro and you figure out who that is, and you know that your type, like, you'd be really good on any kind of procedural drama that maybe you're like a really great sort of country type, like small town sheriff, or maybe you have that sort of backwood kind of vibe about you, so you'd really fit into, like, anytime there's an episode that's sort of in the boondocks or whatever, and they need like a country dude or a country gal or whatever, you kind of know your types, and you know that, like, one of your personality types, one of your what I call inner heroes, are compatible with things that you see quite frequently on these procedural shows, right? So you know that the casting department of NCIS or Law and Order or whatever, they would potentially benefit from knowing about you, because you can carry, you're good at, you have that type. And sure, it goes, a lot through agencies and stuff like that, but I'm just giving you ideas, because you can do the same for connecting with agents. You can do the same with casting directors and their assistants. So, step 1, identify. Identify who could benefit from knowing you. All right? Figure that out. Now, there's a lot to unpack here, which I'm not going to go into. There's other videos on this channel that you can check out for that. But for this to work, you need to know who you are first, right? So if you don't know your type, your brand, and all that stuff, and you don't have solid assets to actually submit and show, and your Instagram and your Facebook account are not set up in a good way, which we also, by the way, help people with in the program, this is kind of pointless. But let's say that's all hashed out. Identify who could work with you or could benefit from knowing you. Then find and I'm coming up with these bullet points on the fly, so sorry if this is a little all over the place. Figure out the process of engagement. And then 3, stay consistent. Okay? This is pretty basic stuff, but again, kind of going back to the top of this conversation, really consistency, persistence, sticking around, doing the basics, that's really a huge percentage. That's like 80% of your potential success is just doing the basics and truly executing on them, and daily thinking about what else you could be doing to get in front of more people in more attractive ways. So I'll give you a quick example. I don't want to give you specifics on here's what you do exactly, because then you're just going to go out and everybody's just going to do that. Whereas I want to give you the way to think about it, and then come up with your own creative ways. You're an artist, you're a creative person. Come up with your own creative ways to engage and stay consistent. Now, you don't want to be obnoxious. You don't want to be too persistent and just keep hammering them. Do you have a job for me? Do you have a job for me? You want to stay consistent in your engagement to stay top of mind for the right people. So you need to identify who and know who you are, for the reason of you can't possibly do this for everybody in the industry. The last video I uploaded, the qualitative versus quantitative networking, it speaks to that. You don't want to be a numbers game person who just feels like they need to network with everybody, not just because it's bad practice and makes you look bad, but also because you don't logistically have the ability to keep in touch and keep track and actually nurture valuable relationships over time by doing that. So you need to figure out who you are and where you fit, so that you know which casting directors, which casting departments, which producers, which directors make more sense for you to get in front of than, others. If you're never going to be in like crazy sci-fi stuff, and don't worry about anybody who works on the CW. Just don't worry about that. Just go for if you're more into like soaps and you fit there, like get in front of the people who do Young and the Restless, Bold and Beautiful, Days of Our Lives, all that stuff, right? Like, those are obviously the people you need to be interacting with, not the people who work at the CW. Now, identify who, go for it. The process of engagement, don't always make it about acting. That's the other thing. Like, it can be, look up the casting director of, NCIS, right? Or all their assistants or whoever, like whatever names you can get that work on whatever show. The people who you feel like have enough power and direct influence on bringing in cast or recommending cast, those are the people you want to get in front of. Producers, showrunners, directors, assistant directors to a degree, cinematographers sometimes, like people who have enough interaction with the above the line producers and creative individuals who run the show or the movie set, that can go to casting and say, hey, we want to check out this person, or go to the director and say, hey, you should check this person out. Like anybody like that, try to figure out who they are, and then start with basic little things like make sure your Instagram and Facebook profile are clean. They're not full of, shots of you at the Abbey getting smashed and just, flipping the bird. Look semi-professional, have some behind the scenes shots up, like put a quote from your favorite actor up there, like Anthony Hopkins, I memorize a poem a day, or something like that. Like, just put something up to be like, okay, this person's serious about their craft. And then engage with those people, initially just on social media, and not direct messaging them, hey, I want you, to look at my stuff. Because I get tons of emails like that. Oh, hey, could you check out my stuff? And I know it's like some subtle way of being basically like, can you hire me for something? But it's very unlikely that any person that you're reaching out, at the moment that you're reaching out to them, it's very unlikely that they actually have a need for you right then. And that's the biggest problem. Because if you knew ahead of time that people were casting for a new Tarantino film, and it was going to be another Western, and oh my goodness, here's your shot. Like, if you knew that far enough in advance, then, you could just hit up the people and be like, hey, I know you're about to cast this thing. But by the time you find out about projects, oftentimes it's too late. And agents often have a bit of an advantage over that because they get wind of, TV mandates, and they get wind of shows and productions that are sort of in the early stages, because casting directors will just, or producers will just call the agents and say, hey, we're thinking about doing this, is this person around? Long story short, engage with them in a very just normal way. You're an actor, they're a casting director, like their posts. Connect with them on Facebook, send a friend request. Hey, love your work. Let's be friends. Whatever. If they accept, awesome. Just post. Again, remember, if you set up your own social media profile to look professional, why would they reject a friend request of a potentially good qualified actor? They don't need you right now. They don't want you right now. They don't want to do you any favors, but they're not going to say, no, don't friend request me, okay? Instagram, Facebook, whatever your platform is, LinkedIn, and just link up with people and know that this is a long-term and unpredictable game, because you don't know when they might need you, and you need to stay in touch with people over time. I know enough actors who have stayed in touch with casting directors for a decade who've never given them a single role, and then suddenly they're like, you know what? I've been seeing this dude around town for the last decade. I think I might have something for him. Let's bring him in, and boom, they get a series. They get something, a guest star, whatever it is. But that is what I mean by it's a long-term game. So you need to start engaging in your community in a normal human way. Like their comments, like their posts, comment on it. If they're like having so much, what a great thing, we won such and such award for this, series. So grateful for the Emmy. Just be like, wow, I'm so proud of you. Like, I've been following your work. Amazing. And just know that they will, like, I have several thousand actors on my Facebook account. Like, I have people following me on LinkedIn, YouTube, like, email, all that. Like, I see the people over time who stay engaged. I see them coming around. I see them commenting and liking. I don't have anything for them right now, but when I might, when I will, when I do, the first place my mind goes is like my tight-knit circle. Hey, do you know somebody? And then the second place my mind goes, okay, who else do I know? And then I start thinking about my social media. You know what? I got a lot of actors here. There's been this guy, he's been commenting a lot. You get what I mean? Just engage in a human way because you want to get them to know you. And then they'll start looking at you like, hey, who's this person? Like, they comment on all my stuff. They like all my stuff. And not in a weird, aggressive, needy kind of way. Just like maybe make a joke in the comments once in a while. And you might never get a response. And that's just one idea, right? But that's a good idea. The reason I brought up that sort of like social media engaging in a very normal, long-term kind of way is because it does develop a subconscious sort of like quasi-relationship over time. Even though you've never spoken, you do start seeing that same person again and again. And then if you stay consistent with it, it will evolve to the point where, I mean, goodness, you could be engaging in somebody's Facebook stuff for 5 years and then suddenly see them at Berlin or see them at AFM or see them at a small film festival here, or just run across them in the casting room. Like, you might end up like being cast for something and they're the casting director or the assistant. And they'll be like, I think I know you, you know? So think of it that way. You got to cultivate for the long term. You got to cultivate for relationships. Everybody walks around and says, oh, it's a relationship business. Like, it's a bad thing. It's a relationship business because there's too many wannabes out there who are wasting everybody's time. And so people go back and they work with the same people, actors, directors, cinematographers, writers, everybody. You end up working with the same people because it's a lot of work to find quality people that can fulfill the task that you need professionally and quickly without wasting time and money. And when you find those people, you tend to lean on them again and again, because why would you look for other people, you know, if you have somebody that works? So be that person. Be reliable, be consistent, and show that you have, tenure and history in this industry, that you've been at it. You know, post your wins, talk about acting. Don't be too pushy. Just be a professional in the community, whether you're paying your bills with it or not. It doesn't matter. It's about consistency. And when it comes to paying the bills and all the other stuff, like, that's really where you should look into our Dracis system. And, again, there's a link at the bottom there for that. But I hope this helps in terms of like helping you think about networking in a good way, in a qualitative, long-term way. And the beauty about it is, guys, nobody has the patience to do this day and age. Everybody's looking for the quick fix, and it doesn't exist. So everybody's cutting themselves off. They're trying to have 1 million Instagram followers and spending all their time building up their social media. That doesn't help with acting. You can have 20 Instagram followers, but if what you post on there is professional acting-related content and you're connecting with the right people, they're more likely to hire you than the guy with 1 million followers. Because the guy with 1 million followers comes with a lot of caveats and questions. You're getting hired because of your following. And if your following isn't relevant, then it doesn't matter. And a TV network honestly doesn't care about your million. You're going to need 60 million. You're going to need to be a Kardashian for that to even have value to anybody at this point. And if you're trying to impress some small streaming service because you can bump their viewership by 20,000 more views with the release of a project, that's really only going to take you so far, and it really doesn't mean that much. And you will have spent a ton of time building up that following. And that's been taking you away from doing what you should be doing, which is qualitative networking with the correct kind of, the right kind of industry professionals, and making money and learning producing and driving your own freaking vehicle into success. So find out more about Dracis. I know I keep plugging it. I mean, there's nothing like it. You really have to. If you haven't joined yet, like, seriously, it's about to be the holidays. Give yourself the gift of a new life. I mean, we're doing some cool stuff over here. So, if you're okay with just like relying on other people for the rest of your life, at the very least, do this. Peace.